Stand up. Sharing. Loving. Hoping and working together. Growing. Supporting each other through stormy weather. Making leaps and bounds through advocacy. Spreading joy and awareness for all to see. There's no community without you and me. We stand on the shoulders of giants. We build each other up. We expand our networking and resources. We never give up. We stand for what is right. We never go down without a fight. The African proverb says, it takes a village to raise a child. I say, it takes a village to become a community. So community, please stand up. We are waiting.
Two, three, four. I was born by the river in a little tent, and oh, just like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die, 'cause who knows what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming. I know, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. And then I go to my brother, and I say, brother, help me please. And he winds up knocking me back down on my knees. Whoa, there've been times that I thought, whoa, I would last too long, but now I think I'm able to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. Oh, yes it will. It's gonna change. It's gonna change. Oh, yes it will.
Football might be over for this season, but basketball is in full steam for both pro and college hoops. Hey, it's your man Lloyd Spence, and listen, from all the latest odds, totals, player performance props, to where the next fired coach is going to land, BetOnline is the number one spot for all your sports betting needs. Here's what you got to do. Head over to the website or use your mobile devices to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE, B-L-E-A-V, to get started. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline is your source for hockey, boxing, and UFC odds right to the Olympic coverage. It is the best in the business. From sports right down to your favorite Vegas casino game, BetOnline is your number one online wagering destination. So, it's BetOnline, y'all, the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports and play your favorite games. So go to BetOnline, where the game starts.
Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Yeah.
Can I make you move now? Yes, I can. So you can get this groove in the back of a can. You can make it round the world when it holds in your hand. Popcorn World. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. That's that popcorn make you smile. Ah. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. It's a popcorn world. It's a popcorn world.
Welcome to Talkin NOIZ, the daily podcast that brings you up to speed and keeps you informed about real issues affecting real people. With your host, Mr. Talkin NOIZ himself, Lloyd Spence. His beautiful wife, Mrs. NOIZ, Kenyatta Spence. The ever-informed Brother NOIZ, Alan Brown. And yours cordially, Uncle NOIZ, Shake Anderson. Come on in and join us as we reveal and opine today's most pressing issues. Real truth while having real fun. Talkin NOIZ is in your house right now. So sit back and enjoy Talkin NOIZ.
2, 1, ready, come on.
The gas master in the building. Somebody get it water. Flood like the fellas on the big chair. Good times. The art engineers in the building. Good times. Hey, we lucky we got 'em. Yeah. Bring your kids. Hello, everyone. Organist, if you don't mind. You turn it up. You turn it up. There you go. Amen, amen. Today we have a special guest evangelist in the building. He hails from Wiley, Texas, by way of Bastrop, Louisiana. He is the pride and joy of Bastrop High School. They talk about him all the time. He's one of the greatest alums they've ever seen. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Jackson Heights' own Mr. Derrick Smith. What's up, bro?
What's going on? How y'all doing?
Wasn't we supposed to raise our right hand and receive?
We were supposed to write. You're right. Al, I blew that, bro. I ain't done it in a while, so I forgot. We're supposed to raise our right hand in fellowship. In fellowship, that's right.
Why do we have to do that?
I have no idea, but that's what they do.
Yes.
I guess if you raise your left hand, it means you don't really want them there. So
I mean, is it like you raise your hand and put it on the Bible because you get ready to
tell the truth,
the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
That could be it. I don't know. Nobody ever explained why you raise your right hand in fellowship.
Maybe it's like that turkey that you cut in half.
Yeah, probably so.
Probably so.
Okay.
We are glad to have you here, though. I tell you that. You know, it's funny when we were talking about the book, and we were like, you know, we technically never invited him in a official capacity. Like he pops, he's a staple of the show and pops up from time to time. But we've never actually invited him to the show. So this was good. So I'm glad we got to
Take the invite.
Yeah, I'm glad it all worked out, man. Now you do realize today's topic, we're talking about being inside the mind of a black man.
Yes.
Next week, Cuz is gonna come on and try to refute everything you just said. I can promise you. So I'm just preparing you in advance. The rebuttal is coming.
Gotcha.
But nevertheless, we're here. We're glad to have you here. Albie's here, Mama Noise is here. The noisemakers are here. Shout out to the noisemakers pulling up in the parking lot. We have called a place to worship, and we are in a good place right now. Even the official pastor of Noise Media and Entertainment has pulled up in the building.
Yeah.
And then the other pastor from Slidey, and they're a little ratchet over there. But he's here, Ron Nolan. He's here.
Woo!
So shout out to everybody pulling up, man. So I know it's gonna be a great show, but we had to do this show because last week on the ladies, and talking about were they the problem, were they irresponsible? I think that was the official term that we used.
Put that big old word on the men as well.
Well, yes, we gonna talk about the
I'm
men.
just saying because irresponsible was like, bow. It's like just somebody surprise snuffed you from behind.
Okay, so she's in FBM mode right now, full baby mode. As we
scarf is here.
Lord have mercy, she's looking for the scarf. So we wanted to bring a balanced conversation and talk about it from the men's side as well. We reference a lot on this show the Nick Cannons of the world and the Futures, and we reference our lack of understanding to certain lifestyle choices men make. We reference a lot of things that men do. Are men just as guilty? Let's start right at the top. Are men just as guilty to the erosion of the Black community as we alleged last week that women are, Derrick?
Yeah, absolutely. We're definitely complicit in the whole thing as well. We couldn't create, this problem couldn't be created only by women. There's been bad judgment on both sides. And I guess the bigger question is, when is the foolishness going to stop? That's the bigger question.
That's a big question.
So, yeah.
So let's stay there, because that's an interesting transition you just made. When does the foolishness start? Do we recognize that some of our actions are foolish? Because again, we talk about it often on the show. Guys like Common, who have knocked down half of Black Hollywood, guys like Nick Cannon, who are stacking up baby numbers like Steph Curry 3-pointers. I mean, we celebrate them out here. So how do we even recognize it as foolishness?
I think it depends on from what perspective you look from. Most guys are looking from a perspective of being taken advantage of, or, because there are guys that have been hurt by women. And I think when we speak out of that pain and that hurt and that disappointment, it's all about the get back. Like, I get back, you know what I'm saying? That type of thing. And so now when we shine a light on women, and of course we're going to find flaws. You shine a light anywhere, you're going to find flaws. But now we shine a light on women. It's like, see, y'all not the greatest things either, and all this kind of stuff. But I think society has been more prone, at least in the last, 20, 30 years, been prone to beat up on guys pretty bad.
We taking L's out here. I ain't gonna hold you. I think that's one of the reasons why guys love Kevin Samuelson so much, because he's kind of like become the great equalizer for Black men. Like, Black men be like, yeah, tell them it ain't all just us.
Yeah.
Even though he might be way over the top.
When it comes to, man, we can't out argue women. We can't out argue women. So when we find somebody who can argue with them, we like, okay, he's better match. But husbands know, man, you can't out argue your wife, man. We don't even try no more. We just like, all right, you heard what I said, right? We done. As far as going toe to toe, we don't do it because we can't do it. It's not something we built for that argument.
Mama knows why you make that deep sigh like that.
Yeah, I'm over sucking my teeth. I'm listening to what's being said.
Well, you have a chance to rebut.
Because last time that old raggedy old funky old Kevin Samuels made his statement, everybody was like, well, where's the lie though, and all that old stuff, because he can talk all crazy and stuff and belittle a woman that comes on the show and says, this is the type of man I'm looking for. You ain't got nothing to bring to the table.
Yeah, that whole table, boy. That's been
well, Mama knows my point. Well, she's trying to call me out, Derrick, so I must retort. My whole point was, why are you sitting at the table? Why are you bringing yourself to a dude that is, who cares what he thinks? Like,
but y'all ain't saying nothing about Jada be bringing raggedy people to the table. But I
won't sit at that table either.
But yeah, I think that's part of the thing, Lloyd, because he gives them that energy that they seek, that they're not getting in their relationship. Because most men, I'll speak for myself. My greatest argument is, okay, you right, and I'm done. 3 words to my argument. Okay, you right. But women don't even want to hear that.
They want the argument. They want like, I don't feel like doing all of that.
And Kevin gives that to them. So that's why they tune in great numbers.
That's interesting. That's an interesting perspective.
I disagree.
Okay.
I guarantee you, Mama Noise, the greatest majority of his audience is not men.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, let me speak for the House of Noise. In the House of Noise, I can't just give no 3 words in a discussion with Mr. Noise and say, okay then. He's not a just okay then type guy. He's like, we gonna chop it up, we gonna spread it out on the table, and we gonna figure out what this problem is until we get to the, till we got to understand it.
So Lloyd's never hit you with the okay, you right.
Yeah, but it's he
That's
doesn't
my
mean
point.
it.
It's not what you can give. It's what we.
He don't mean it. It's sarcasm. It's he go. You right. You want to win.
Of course, it's sarcasm. It's we don't
you want to win. You win. You right. Go ahead. And then you like, what? I'm supposed to walk away from you right and you win when I didn't win.
So now you want to lose.
He be using that mental. He be using that mental judo on you. You know,
he be doing that.
Judo on you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you arguing for why you should lose the argument.
Then you be like, you don't even know why we're arguing, do you? You be like, what?
You really
okay,
don't.
Let's move on.
I'm just saying you don't be knowing though, but it's fine.
See that?
I don't think men want to argue on spec. Like most men don't want to argue. They just want to resolve it. We're fixers. So how can we fix this? But sometimes what we're calling women wanting to argue is more so like what Al said, they just want to be heard. And they don't want to necessarily even fix. They just want to fuss and tell you how bad it is.
Yeah. And I don't mind hearing anybody as long as you're willing to acknowledge your portion in it too.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta acknowledge your portion in it too.
Did you hear that, Mama Noise?
Why didn't you say it to me? Why didn't you say it to Al?
I'm just saying, because Al's off the screen.
He can hear you.
Because I grew up in a house full of women. I've seen plenty of bad decisions by women. Plenty of bad decisions by women. I've seen it. I know where it comes from too.
Oh,
I know where it comes from. Oh yeah, at least from my family standpoint, I know where it comes from. There was no father around. Majority of the bad decisions came because of that issue.
That's interesting. So the majority of
decisions, it was rooted in that. Yeah.
See, when I said that last week, y'all weren't trying to hear what I said.
We heard what you said. Why are you?
No, but it's coming from the thought engineer. It's coming from me.
But in acknowledging the issues, I even have to acknowledge my mom's fault. I have to. And I had to pull away from the sacred, you don't touch mama. No, you can't go there with mama. I had to pull away from that and really look at it and say, yeah, mom made some mistakes. I suffered as a result.
Yeah, Al won't let me do that. Every time I try to say my mama made mistakes, Al be like, "Nah, Miss Gloria's a saint."
Yeah, and it's something in the Black community. As much as we try to, Black women try to play like, they just downtrodden. Y'all are celebrated way more in the Black community than any other woman is celebrated, especially on the mama side. You better not, don't say nothing about my mama. Mothers are sacred. Black women are sacred in that regard.
So let's address what you just said. The many mistakes that have been made. So, and you said it was due to lack of father, or maybe in the mom's respect, maybe a lack of husband or whatever. So the erosion of the Black community, which came first? Is it the chicken or is it the egg? Is it the bad decisions that have been made driving men out of the homes, or is it the men leaving the homes which created the bad decisions?
There was definitely a sense of leaving. I remember reading a book, and the book was centered around the time where sharecropping was the thing. It was the new form of slavery at that time.
Right.
And they talked about men would work like a dog, and at the end, when everything was harvested and everything, none of it was theirs, and they would get so frustrated they just walk away. They would just leave.
Wow.
Frustrated from putting in all this work, backbreaking work, and still have nothing. Because men desire to have some kind of fruit from their labor. When you work and all your fruit belongs to somebody else, yeah.
But they would leave the job, or they would leave like the family or everything.
Everything. Just leave.
Wow. That's interesting. That is very interesting.
And see, we don't really understand what those guys went through back then. Was it wrong? Absolutely wrong.
Right.
But being put in that position, a lot of us don't know what that feels like. A man needs to feel productive. A man needs to feel like what he's doing is counting for something. Needs that.
Alicia's coming in to defend the women. He said, women are caught as well. You were left with children to care for, and they cannot leave. I don't know if she said it like that, but I just...
Right. No, you couldn't leave. But this is where the bitterness came in. Because that man left you and you had those kids you had to tend to and care for and all this kind of stuff. And you still had to, listen, we understand there is bitterness on both sides.
And you take sharecropping out of the equation, and the same scenario applies today. You know, there's bitterness because I'm here taking care of, holding it down for me and the kids. So that's why, we often hear men ain't poop.
And to that same point, I think there is a deafness that has resulted as it relates to that pain on both sides. We can't hear each other, and I think that deafness has continued to be passed down through generation to generation. Also in the form of the advice that is being passed down to both sides. Mama Noise being told, make sure you put some money aside, and don't take your last name off because it's hard to get it back. And there's an expectation of it's gonna fall apart because it always has. And on the men's side, we're still chasing what you just said. So that's why what you said is really interesting to me, Derrick, because it's like, when do we? Well, I don't know if we ever will stop. How do we break that cycle, I guess, is the better question.
Somebody got to take one for the team, man. Somebody just got to make a decision. Yeah, I'm probably gonna get beat up in this, but for the sake of what needs to happen, I gotta stay the course. I gotta break the cycle somewhere, and breaking the cycle it's not comfortable at all. Right. It's not comfortable. I think most people, we're conditioned to seek comfort. We're conditioned to seek the things that please us. When that's not, you really want to serve your family and serve your community, then you're gonna definitely be inconvenient a lot. Are you willing to deal with that for the greater good? And most of us not willing to sacrifice for the greater good, especially in an era where I can have what I want, I can do what I want, and all this kind of stuff. And now you're telling me to sacrifice? Please.
So I'm in honor of Cuz Noise, I'm gonna ask Derrick a question and ask him to get a little bit, as Cuz would say, butt naked. How did you break the cycle? Because you seem to be the catalyst for that shift in your family. So how did you do that? How did you pull it off, as they say?
Man, at first I thought of, it was, I had to make a whole lot of money, XYZ, and do all this. But now it was just about making a decision and sticking to it. Really what it was about. I mean, I had the pain of growing up in a house with a single parent and all of that. And that pain kind of forged me into this resolve to where I can't I can't go that route. I can't do that.
Mm.
So even in the midst of, you know what I'm saying, I've been married for almost 14 years. In the midst of that, we had issues. But leaving was never the option for me.
But even before the marriage, like in your childhood, like, or just like talk a little bit about from high school to college to even before you got married. How did you, because there's some measure of decision that was being made there as well. How did you land on this path and get there? Or was it, because you talk about the pain and it wasn't easy. Talk a little bit about, I guess, about that.
So my mom was a bus driver. She drove bus and tried to take care of 4 kids on a bus driver salary in Louisiana.
Okay.
And so there were plenty of times that the ends did not meet. And, you know, we went without. It's crazy to go back and think of some of the meals my mom used to make. And they were my fondest meals, but I didn't realize she was just scraping stuff together to put something together. She was just clever with how she did it, but it was during times we didn't really have anything, and she was just trying to make do. But seeing her, the pain of her having to struggle with the things that she struggled with, and I tell women who have young sons, especially single women that have young sons, there's a man locked up inside of him, and he wants to help, but he's limited in his capacity in what he can do. And that will frustrate him. That will frustrate him to no end. There has to be something to give him a sense of, listen, I understand it's going to hurt for a while, but don't let this ruin you. Because a lot of guys make the decision, oh, well, I'm going to sell drugs. I'm going to do this. And they use the excuse starting off, well, I got to feed my family. I got to help my mama. But then it turns into something else. But there's something innate in us, man. We want to fix things. We want to work. We want things to work out, especially when somebody we care about is hurting. They're suffering. We want to hurt. I mean, we want to help out, relieve some of the suffering. And just having to watch that, all I could give my mom was promises of the kind of man I would be, the kind of person I would be, and I had to stick to those.
Wow. Al, is your story similar to that, or
Very similar, but I don't know his sibling situation, but I didn't have to bear so much of that burden because I'm the youngest of 6, the younger of 4 boys. So a lot of that pressure was, didn't fall upon me, but still I was left with the impression of wanting to do my best by her.
Mm-hmm. I was the baby and the only boy. So I grew up none but sisters. So it's me, my mama, and my 3 sisters.
So yeah, you the man.
Yeah. And so you grow up in that situation. And even as a little kid, that protective instinct is always in you. Like when people would come around the house, I was the one that was like, who are you? You know what I'm saying? Kind of like the little boy with the Dorito. Keep your hands off my mama. Keep your hands off my Dorito.
Why'd you just ruin the Mars Black Friday? I mean, Uncorked Wine. Because I'm literally showing that on Uncorked Wine. I'm still showing it. I don't care. I love the video.
But even little boys have that protective instinct. And you don't want to see people that you love hurt. And I had to come to a realization that some of the things were based on decisions that were made.
Go ahead.
There was a lot of things my mom just didn't know.
I was going to say, put this in perspective as it relates to how we feel about our mamas, because even in a situation where you come from a 2-parent household and dad and mom are acting donkey and dad is being aggressive with mom, you love both your parents, but you're going to come to your mom's defense and you know, and go against your father. You know what I mean? So that just goes to show you how much we love and appreciate our mothers, and are willing to sacrifice it all to protect them.
So how did we get from I'll protect my mother, my black mother, at all costs, and make sure that she has and is appreciated, and I keep the promise, as Derrick said. How do we get from that to black women saying that black men ain't shit? Like, how did we get there? Because if we got all these black men that love their black mamas, well, how do we erode to this?
Listen, you can have a desire but still don't have knowledge. There was nobody teaching us how to treat women. It's one thing to have a desire, but to actually know how to go about doing it. And then too, you know what I'm saying? You got male nature, male instinct you have to fight. Especially depending on who you are, what kind of attention you start getting and all this kind of stuff. If you don't have the right person to guide you through that, you're gonna make some mistakes. People say you start smelling yourself. I remember when, you know, female attention started coming my way. I was like, oh, really? You know what I'm saying? And my best advice was coming from one of my best friends who was like 3-4 years older than me. He came from a single parent home too. So we was man, get all you can, do what you can, all this kind of stuff. And this was the advice.
So a broken man gave you broken advice.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's not a lot of men that you find that be out there say, man, you stay away from them girls, man. They don't, not until you ready. Not until you ready. How you know you ready? You know where you're going. You got a direction for your life. You got a way to take care of whatever y'all bring into this world. And nobody's telling you that. Nobody's speaking that to you.
An interesting conversation has emerged out of the chat. Alicia started. She said she liked to address the men that stay and are abusive. What do they teach girls? Did any of you grow up in environments where men were abusive, or did you see, maybe not in your home, but you saw in other people's home, abusive men, and how did those kids turn out?
I'm one of those kids.
Wow.
My dad was a weekend drunk, and the fireworks usually started around 2:30, 3 o'clock every Friday night.
Wow. What, as kids, did you try to intervene in any way, or how did you handle it?
I did not. Again, I had older siblings.
Right, you're the youngest, right?
I wasn't thrust into that responsibility, but oh yeah, you know, my siblings tried to get involved. So,
wow.
Yeah, see, I didn't grow up. My mom didn't even bring me in around it. The only man that came around was actually my father. The only man that came around. She didn't, and now that I'm older, I recognize now it's because she was in love with him. My mom loved my dad. Wow. And you know what I'm saying? Horrible situation. He was married. Had a whole wife, family, and everything. That's why I say my mom made mistakes too. Yeah. I'm a result of mistakes she made.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but yeah, I never walked in the house and, you know, some old grimy dude sitting up in the house I didn't walk up in that. My mom, we were her life.
Yeah.
You know.
My dad, my biological dad wasn't there long enough for me to have this problem. Although my mom says he abused her. So I don't know. He denied it when I finally met him, but you know, that's neither here nor there. But I tend to believe it because
your 6'4" self looked at his little self once you got old enough to talk to him and asked him, "Hey man, did you put your hands on my mama?" And then he was like, "You know, son, there's a whole lot of
business." That is not what happened, but I will say this: my stepfather, my sister's father, tried to put his hands on my mom, and I distinctly remember because I was in the 5th grade. And I distinctly remember the day, the first time I saw it. It probably wasn't the first time he tried it, but it was the first time I saw it. And he tried to do it. And I remember we had a bat that sat right by the door. And I remember grabbing that bat and swinging it at him. And he, he ducked out the way and said, "What are you doing?" And my mom grabbed me. She's like, "No, baby, I got it. I said, "No, he ain't here to put his hands on you. Not while I'm here." And I remember that moment. And I never forgot it because it was kind of jolting because I'm like, why is my mama married to a dude that want to hit it? Like, I didn't understand that. That didn't make any sense to me. Because I asked her after he left, I was like, why don't you just leave here? Like, we can go back to my grandma and them out. We ain't got to stay here for this. And she's like, no, you don't understand. You don't understand. Like, I understand somebody getting their ass whooped. This ain't really even hard to understand. So, I don't know. I didn't understand. So to answer Alicia's question, I don't know what to tell kids because you can't untell them that you're not doing it. Like they see what you're doing, and they see the violence in the house, and they see, in Al's case, the inebriation. They see the whole thing. So once that damage is done, I don't know if you can undo that.
I can attest to the question. Her question was, what are fathers showing little girls? What's it? The men that stay and are abusive, what do they teach the girls? Well, they teach girls that you better learn how to square up. It doesn't teach them, you don't have to take this. Like y'all said, y'all need to, he could just leave. You're saying, okay, if I got to be in a situation, then I need to be able to learn how to fight too. Because you didn't leave. So maybe that's not what you're supposed to do. If he don't leave and you don't tell him to get out, then that means that this is what this is supposed to be.
And now you bring up an interesting point because staying is not enough. We get this thing, you stayed, but you didn't change. Don't stay and stay the same. Stay and change so things get better. But you got people, anytime I see people that marriages that don't work, somebody dug their heels in and was like, nope, I'm not changing.
Right.
I am not changing. And I'm like, you can't do that.
Not if you want it to work.
Right. Not if you want it to work. You can't do that.
Yeah. The man with the golden beard is here, Tim Hinkle. No, I'm just saying the beard is flawless, and I'm jealous every time I see it. We're just talking about how the overall topic is we're trying to get inside the mind of black men, just like we did last week with black women. We're trying to get inside the mind of black men, and we landed on this topic of the example that black men are setting in the home and how it's eroding the community, if you will, like the black community. And whose fault is it? Like, I don't even know if it's a fault thing as much as it is. How'd you say it there? You said you said it a different way. How do we, I guess, fix it or
how do we?
Yeah. Where do we even start? Like, there's so much has been done, and what is the role of the black man to fix it? I guess is maybe the next question that we could ask. Because you said something that's kind of disturbing just now, Mama Noise. You said I got to learn how to stay there and fight. I don't know if that's the best advice. That feels like great.
But if that's all you see, mom's not leaving, so she's not grabbing the kids and go. He's not leaving, but yet they still stay together and still continue to do that in front of the kids, which are imitating their environment.
And that's
she got it. Well, my ex-girlfriend from college, both of her parents were there. They used to fight, and I'm like, I ain't come up in that, man. My mama didn't bring no men around us. Wasn't no couples fighting in my house and all that type of stuff. So when I would be there, I'd be uncomfortable. Like, dude, I would grab me a corner and wouldn't say nothing because I'm like, I don't want none of that heat because I don't know. Right. People don't always stay mad at that person. They start directing anybody in their path. So let me get out the way. Right. But she started reacting to me like that. And I'm like, hold up. I don't do all that fighting and stuff. You know what I'm saying? We don't get down like that. And you know, when I found myself feeling reactionary, I was like, nah, I probably need to stop this. And so we broke up. I was like, nah, I can't. Nah, I love you, but we not about to. What? So you and your mama? No, we're not about to do that. We're not. No, sir.
Would you say that it somehow conflicts, or does what Mama Noise say, is that a contributing factor when you tell young couples that, you know, no matter what, stick it out, you know, tough it out?
And I think that's what we tell them, to stick it out, but we don't tell them you got to change.
Right.
And we just focus on the sticking out because we think, oh, just because mom and dad are there, it's it's a good situation. That's why you have people that say, I wish they had broke up, because somebody would not do right. They was just content on not doing right. And you can't do that.
Well, I know in 2022 there's really no excuse for nobody. Not young couples. Now, I don't know the ages of everybody on the show. I'm 46. And we've seen that back in our time, I'm sure. In 2022, man, these new couples shouldn't be dealing with that. There should be no excuses no more, because there's too many avenues, there's too many options to get help. You know, there's too many options to get help. You can go to school and say, hey, I see my mom and daddy fighting. Okay, then there's questions going to be asked, and they're going to intervene. There's no excuses now. Now, if they use that for excuse, they just don't want to change. They don't want to get the work. They don't want to put the work in it. So if I was a child and I see my parents going through that, I would say something. That should be the first thing you do. That's all they preach and teach to the kids now. If you see abuse going on, whether it's at school or at home, you tell somebody.
Yeah.
But did we know it was abuse?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. In 2022, you should. Back in 75, when I was born, it was normal.
Right.
Unfortunately, it was norm.
It was what goes on in this house. You better not take our business outside this house. Go tell the teacher what's going on up in this house.
And it's still like that to some degree on certain things, you know, unfortunately. But I for men, we need to get counseling. For women, they need to get counseling. They just do. I don't know why it was so taboo to even do it. I never understood it. And I think that's why we as a Black community are so far behind the rest of the world. It's because we didn't want to seek counseling because we thought we was crazy for even thinking about going.
But we were conditioned not to show weakness. We were conditioned not to show it. And so now when you talk about help, we didn't interpret help right, because help was equal weakness, and we were conditioned not to show that.
But at the same time as men, we was also taught we don't need to go to the doctor.
Right.
And
Lord knows we should have never took that mantra.
Yeah.
You know, we lost some family members because we could have got some things worked out if we had seek medical treatment earlier. My great grandfather passed early in his years of colon cancer, but that could have been something he could have prevented if he had jumped on it sooner instead of taking on that mantra. I'm good. I'm not falling over, having a stroke or heart attack right now, so I don't need to go to the doctor. I don't need to get my checkups. I don't need to get my exams. You know, I don't need a colonoscopy. No, they're not doing all that to me. Knowing we should have been doing that. Yet our white predecessors, they out there getting everything they need to check, living longer than we are because we don't want to do certain things because our pride won't let us.
Not only our pride, but I was going to say we often use as an excuse affordability. You know, we didn't have the money. But on top of that, I say we use that as an excuse, and it's not. But, you know, because health care is more available. But nevertheless, but we also been conditioned as a people, as a culture, take it to the Lord and leave it there. And everybody on the pound know. You know, I'm a follower of Christ, and I'm still in favor of the church. So I'm not trying to condemn the church, but nobody was saying take it to the Lord and then go get yourself some therapeutic help.
Right.
Right. Yep. The other thing about it, everybody else heard that same thing, take it to the Lord. But guess what? They was also doing the work.
No, white folk that wasn't the message the white community was getting.
Well,
Who you think told us that? Who you think told us that? White folks told us about the Lord.
But it was also a lack
about
of
the
faith.
Lord, but some of the traditions that we follow that didn't come from them.
And here's my thing about the whole thing.
There's a realistic component of this that gets missed every time. Hello, everyone.
What up,
The first thing is this, man. Let's just be real about it. My grandparents were deathly afraid of doctors because of what happened in Tuskegee, because of what happened in Mississippi, because we had family members that were experimented on. We had family members that were abused under the medical systems. We had family members that were literally used as rats to test different things under the guise of healthcare. And so a lot of things, while yes, they are taught and they're wrong-minded ideals, but they're rooted in fact. They're rooted in really bad truths. To the psychological point, my mother, and I don't know if we've ever talked about this, Lloyd, but my mom admitted she had some issues, right? Because she raised us 4 kids by herself. And she admitted that she was struggling with depression. And they tried to take us away from her as a result of that. They tried to literally destroy our family as a result of that. And so when you start talking about some of these issues, it's not just that, yeah, the church had a big part of it, and we all have our own idiosyncrasies when it comes to trusting people. But there's some deep-rooted facts to a lot of this stuff that go a lot farther than I just don't want to get checked out. I look at something as simple as, the brother's obviously taking a pretty heavy beating because of his stance. But I look at like Kyrie Irving and his position with taking the shot. And, on the one hand, you look at it and go, well, this brother, he's smart and he's doing his own research and what have you. But the reality is there's a deep-seated fear there with him. And this is not some old guy who, doesn't have access to great health care, doesn't have access to all the advantages that any person in America could have, because obviously he's extremely wealthy. But there are some deep-seated things here, man, that we miss a lot of times when we gloss over things and make them general. And I just, being the older guy here, I've seen most of that stuff up front. I've seen it face to face, and I've had to live through some of these things. I had an issue with dentists for 30 years because I had such a bad experience with my dentist as a child that it was trauma for me to go to the dentist. I literally didn't go until I found out, okay, they can give me gas and I don't have to be awake during the process, because it was such a bad, and I'm not talking about one experience.
Yes.
I'm talking about 3 or 4 experiences as a child, and it ruined me practically for my life because of such a horrible experience. So a lot of these things are a lot deeper than just not having access to something or just not feeling like you want to go.
I'm still looking for that dude now. That dude, he traumatized me, man. It wasn't until I couldn't take it anymore that I went to a dentist, man, and realized that it wasn't as bad as I experienced. And it's like, I don't know if he had some frustration or he didn't like me, or if I was because I was black or something, because he was a white man.
Yeah. But it's almost like anything else. Anytime you have a bad experience, anyway, are we going to just turn our back and say, I'm never going to do that again? We can't do that, though. I understand, like you said, the trauma that you go through, but I had a bad experience at a restaurant. I mean, I'm never going back to another restaurant. I had a bad experience at churches, where to the point where, I'm seeing these guys are ripping people off. Do I need to turn away from the Lord because I had that bad experience at the church? No, you can't do that.
You're right. You shouldn't, but that's what most people do.
This is true.
And the
I
other
agree.
thing is this.
I agree. I
The
agree.
other thing is this. You might have had a bad experience at a restaurant, and it's very easy to not go back to that restaurant. But guess what? If you have a bad experience with a certain dish, you may never eat that dish again. If you go and you love, say, for example, you love oysters. You get bad oysters, you'll never eat oysters again, man, because that experience is not easily forgotten.
Well, to your point, that is why we're talking about this black men thing, because that is what's happening with some women. They are having a bad experience with Leroy, and now Leroy represents all black men.
But here's
Or they have a bad experience with their dad, and so their dad now represents all black men.
I didn't hear the front of the topic, so I didn't know that's.
Oh, you're fine. You're doing good. You're doing good.
But I can say this: I have brothers, I have friends that won't mess with black women because they had horrible experiences with our sisters. So anybody that connotates a relationship to be based on somebody's ethnic origin, they're out of whack anyway. You can't base anything based on who somebody is in terms of where they come from. You can look at the facts, but you hopefully try to go on an individual basis. But some things are just deep rooted, just deep rooted, and you have issues. I'm sorry for these women that are having issues with black men, but we know we got some knuckles and heads out here, man. We know we got some guys that just are rotten. Or the other way to say it, they just rotten. They're no good cats. But that ain't all of us.
But like you said, you carry that baggage to everything you do, though.
Right.
That ruins your life. You don't realize how much it's eating you up inside when you do stuff like that. That's a personal thing. So if I go out there and look at every woman like, man, I can't stand her because my baby mama.
Well,
God damn, she wasn't no damn good.
I want to go back one area real quick, and then we can move forward. The tooth thing. The reason I brought that up is because my teeth affect my entire body.
Yes.
I got sick in 2004. And later on, we found out that a lot of what I suffered could have been avoided had I been able to go past my fear of the dentist. I had some teeth removed, and the dentist didn't do it right. So it formed an abscess, which poisoned my system, which weakened, of all things, my esophageal wall. So I was susceptible to a lot of things. Had I not had several experiences, not one, several experiences with the dentist. Because, when I was little, you went to the dentist because you had to go. I didn't volunteer as a kid. I want to go see the dentist. My mama made me go. And back then, again, if you got a needle, you were lucky. But usually if you got a needle, it was in the wrong spot. They might numb this tooth over here and do nothing for the one that they're getting ready to yank, or the cavity they're getting ready to fill. They had no real compassion for me as a child. And unfortunately, I carried that with me. But the point is, back to what I'm saying is, like, all of these things cause problems in other areas. Your issue with a black woman may cause you to have an issue with your children. I know women who hate their children because of the father, the man that made the baby. And therefore they hate other black men as a result of that. So we all need therapy, first of all. We all need counseling. Prayer is one thing to say, well, you can go to church and pray about it, but man, you need real help. And unfortunately, that again was something that in a lot of cases, not all, maybe not even most, but in a lot of cases was used against us, which causes people, when I was little, if you went to see a psychiatrist in my neighborhood, you were crazy and you got labeled, and if you got labeled, buddy, you might not live that down. And it could affect everything. It could affect you getting a job. It could affect you going to school. It could affect you getting, any number of things, just getting labeled. Let alone you didn't go for any, you weren't crazy or didn't, might have had an issue and you had to go, try to get some relief or whatever. You went to see a psychiatrist. Now, obviously, white people been doing this all their lives, but they haven't had what we've had as a culture, as a people to deal with in this country. So I'll leave it at that.
Derrick, what was that?
I was just gonna say the reality is you have a lot of people getting in relationships that have no business getting in them. And that's what you have. We're not even prepared for. We're not even, our perception of relationships is love and hip hop and Real Housewives and all this type of stuff. So we get the foolishness and we love the excitement of it, but we don't understand we destroying each other at the same time. We don't know how to forgive. We don't know how to communicate. We don't know how to, sacrifice. We don't know how to do none of that. We don't know how to compromise. But we'll hop in the bed though. We'll hop in the bed in a heartbeat. And that's the problem. By the time you get there, you can skip so many steps. It pulls you into a deeper thing that you're not ready for. Mm-hmm. But if you tell people stay out the bed, they're gonna look at you like you crazy. Like, what? You mean I'm supposed to not have sex? Absolutely. Sex is the only thing. Anything else that's powerful, you need a license for it. A gun, certain high power chemicals, and all of this type of stuff. And sex is more powerful than all of that. But yet, well, I guess you do need it. You're supposed to have a license for it, marriage license. But that's a whole nother thing. But people we just use it, and it's too powerful to just mistake for just a play thing. You play with dangerous things, people get hurt, and that's what's been happening.
You know what the worst thing? You hear
marriage license give you the right to operate. That marriage license that's a government document just to hold you liable for certain things, taxes. It's a different type of license.
That's a money grab.
Right.
No, but what I would say, some of the things you hear people say, it's a slogan you always hear. We every man, I'm sure, heard it, especially every married man. Happy wife, happy life. That's the worst slogan that can ever be shared with any man who's in a relationship. Because it should not be just about the wife being happy.
Happy spouse.
That's not I was going to say that's not the slogan in this house. Well, we are happy spouse, happy house.
Mama Noise, I'm glad to hear that. But I promise you, that is a slogan that I'm sure Lloyd heard somewhere.
Oh, for sure.
Where you had to man, you got to be crazy, or you got to be taking my point of view. Man, I'm not going for that. Did I go for that early? Yeah, I did, because that's what I was told. But then you come to find out, so you just supposed to be miserable just to make her happy? No, I can't go for that.
You know what makes that interesting, Tim, is that thought process of happy wife, happy life, and I accept the miserable aspects of what comes out of that is a lot of times what drives men out of the house. Because they still, listen, just because you made her happy don't mean you don't want it. So now you're saying, well, if I can't get it from her, let me see how I can find it somewhere else. Let me see how I can go find it. You know what's fascinating to me? Have y'all ever met a guy who cheated on his wife, and you finally got a chance to see the chick he cheated on, and you was like, for real? Like, bro, like that's what you love your wife for? But it wasn't her looks, it wasn't anything that had to do with that. It was what she made him feel that his wife didn't make him feel. Mm-hmm. And man, sometimes dudes will go get whatever is available that creates happiness. I mean, has that been you guys' experience? Have you seen anything like that?
You can't put a price tag on happiness. You can't put a price tag on it. Mm-hmm. And if, like you said, if that's gonna be your piece, man, you'll take a bust down chick if that's what it takes. And if she's gonna make you happy, at the end of the day, I had some friends tell me, I was happy, Tim.
I was happy.
I threw my hands up. I said, this conversation need to go no further. I understand. I wasn't happy in that relationship. She was happy, but I wasn't. I wasn't at peace. And that's what I expect to come home to after dealing with the white man or dealing with these other people. You know what I'm saying? I expect to come home to my peace, but there wasn't none.
Mm.
She brought me peace.
Wow.
I said, I'm done. I said, you right.
For how long? For how long? Because here's the
Well,
thing.
you know, hey, it depends on the situation. Like you said, if you educate, train, share and share whatever your likes and dislikes to an individual, it could be for the rest of their life. Who knows? Once you get somebody who's already set in their ways, there's nothing you could do about them.
Because here's the thing I find. Most people they get caught into that, you know, I went astray because, you know, I found my peace and all that, but you ain't had to do life with that person. You ain't had to make decisions about bills. You ain't had to make decisions about what's going. When you start doing that, I guarantee you the thing changes, because most people who divorce say, you know what, if I had known what I knew, I would have stayed where I was. Because listen, you spending a fraction of your time with somebody and you still in that time. So there's already a tantalizing thing about that time you spending. And then you go over there, oh, she cooked for you. She put your feet up and all, she rubbed your back and all this kind of stuff. That ain't going to be all the time. That is not going to be all the time, because when real life starts happening, this is where people's real mindsets and real values come into play. People will play nice for a while, but after a while, because the longer I'm with you, I get comfortable with you. And familiarity breeds contempt. And that's the thing. We got to control how we see the other person.
And you know, I agree with what you're saying, but I don't know if you ever heard of the comment that Chris Rock made. He said, marriage is not hard work as long as two people are working at it. But it's just one person by yourself.
Right.
You can't do it. It's hard. So when he said that, you know, I think about like, damn, he right. But it's not going to help if she's happy, but I'm not happy. And I'm encouraged, let's go get some counseling. Let's go. But she don't want to move off her line because she's good where she's at. She's getting everything she wants. But the man is not. He's getting a portion. And he's got to move on and accept that. No, you don't have to. You don't have to. Now, hopefully, the person you're with, they're willing to make adjustments and change and do what they need to do. But if they don't, what are you supposed to do? Stay in there and be miserable? Let me tell you this. I know we just was talking about abuse, but you know the worst abuse that is hard to ever get over is the psychological abuse. I can get over you busting me in my goddamn mouth. Sorry, excuse my language.
You're fine.
But if you mentally abuse me and say some things over 10, 15, 20 years, that's hard to get over.
Yeah.
Like my man says, I'm saying you traumatized. That could traumatize you.
Yeah.
The mental abuse over time, that could traumatize you. And women do a lot of mental abuse. They may not do the physical abuse, but they do a lot of mental abuse going on in a lot of relationships. Men just don't say anything because they sit there in the silence. I'm all right. I mean, it didn't hurt me. But deep inside, you cry.
Let me ask you a question.
You
just said something, Tim. You said women do a lot of psychological abuse.
Yes, sir. That's
do the men
what
in
I
this
said.
group, do all the men agree with that?
Absolutely.
I do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely do.
Because here's the thing. That's
masters.
Well, but the other thing is you got to look at it.
I'm sorry to the chat. I didn't mean to say that. I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
Tim, come on. We do a show with Cuz Noise. You're fine.
Okay. Don't get down.
This is a safe space.
Don't get down.
This is
Don't
a safe space. Get down. You're fine. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Shake. I cut y'all. Go ahead.
No, I agree with. Is it Tim?
Yes.
I agree with that but here's the thing: it's a learned action. They learned that from their mother. They learned that from their aunts. They learned that from society. Because for one, that usually is the only mechanism they have to really fight with. You know, you're not stronger than your man.
That's right.
You're not typically, you're not always the breadwinner, so you don't necessarily control the household, although you may run it. So a lot of times that's what they do. They use that. And let's be real. Most men are not good at psychological warfare. That's just the truth of it. You don't, I can get into an argument with somebody, with another guy, and I can be the most brilliant orator you ever met in your life.
But my wife could say some fucked up shit to me, and I don't have a response. Now I can go away. I can walk away and ponder it. You know what I'm saying? Ponder it, and maybe I can come back. But guess what? By the time I come back, I'm like, it ain't worth it. So then she done got away. You know what I'm saying? And it keeps happening. It keeps happening.
She cleared house.
Argue. I'm just being real with you. You know, I know it probably sounds funny, but it's
here's what's real about what you're saying. And Derrick, I want you to jump in on this as well. If my wife says something jelly roll slick to me, here's the thing that she knows about me. The moment she said it, I'm not trying to be like my dad. I'm not trying to be abusive. I'm not trying to hit you. I'm not trying to fight you. I'm not trying to create that kind of atmosphere in my home. So you're going to say this jelly roll slick thing with it because you know there probably aren't any consequences tied to it.
Hence abuse.
Yeah.
That's where abuse comes from.
Listen, all I know is what Unc just said is facts. I watched my mom. Hold on. Let me take my glasses off. My mom. I didn't really understand the relationship between a man and a woman other than what I observed with my mom and with the guys she dated before she married. I was too young when her and my father divorced. But when I was old enough to see her and her second husband, my mom's tongue was like a razor blade. And I watched it and was like, dang. I mean, it was like, I liken it to she was trying to hit a nerve. Like, whatever had taken place between them, he wasn't, he had cut out. Like, he ain't listening. So she's like, I'm going to keep cutting until I hit that nerve. And then you'll know exactly how much you just hurt me. And then they fighting. I'm talking about, it's like, a professional boxing match, going back, who gonna win? So then I'm learning that I have to win. No matter what relationship I'm in, it must be that I have to win. Or if he's gonna hurt me like that, I can't, like Shake said, I can't physically hurt him back the way he just hurt me. But best believe I can come up with some mental warfare or psychological warfare, and I'm gonna find that nerve to hurt you back the way you just hurt me. Like Derrick said, get you back. That's what we learn in our dysfunctional households that some of us grew up in, is the dysfunction of get you back, the dysfunction of I'm going to say something to hurt you to get you back because I can't put my hands on you. So I don't know what to do other than this is my defense. I've learned how to defend myself like that. So then when we get in a real relationship, you bring that dysfunction in. You bring that, I need to get you back. I got to win. I got to fight. I got to say something to you to get you back for hurting me because you just hurt me. I don't know how to have conversations and talk about it. And then you got the man who shuts down, who's like, I don't even want to talk about it. Instead of, you hurt me when you said, because women ain't got no problem telling them when you hurt me, what you said.
Right.
But once y'all shut down and y'all ain't talking no more, how can we heal? How can this be corrected?
Do you guys tell your wives when they've crossed the line verbally and say, no, that would hurt me? You didn't have to say that. Or do y'all just kind of take it?
Nah, look, I don't like to be cussed at. You can say whatever you want, but don't cuss at me. That's the most disrespectful thing. And I ain't with that. But like I said, I'm not with none of the abuse anyway. Don't put your hands on me. I don't put my hands on unless we in the bedroom. It's something that's something different. But
when you have permission, sir. You got to get the green light.
When the change the whips come out, but that's a different That's a different talking noise. I'm sorry.
That
Lord.
is a different.
I'm sorry.
That's more Uncut Wine than talking noise.
No question.
That's talking noise after dark. Okay.
Right.
But yeah, for serious though, man. Nah, we don't. Nah, don't cuss at me. Don't put your hands on me.
But what if it's not a curse? What if it's just something that she said? Because don't nobody know you like she does. And so if she throws that thing back in your face, that one thing that you, because here's one thing I've learned about men. We will be vulnerable to the right woman. And we do that because we think that vulnerability is not going to come back to bite us in the ass.
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't. But in the heat of the moment, that's why you old blah blah blah. You did this. Wait, how you gonna bring that up? So
yeah.
How do you deal with that part of it? As men, how do you deal with that part where the person that you trusted the most with your most vulnerable space used that vulnerable space against you? Or maybe it hadn't happened to you. I don't know.
You know, I'm gonna be transparent. I stepped out on my wife. I cheated. So I believe you me, that comes up. And the only thing I got to do is say, you're right. I did that. I was wrong. I cheated on you and I shouldn't have did that. Yeah. I'm sorry. And that's all I can do is say, admit it. Now, eventually hope it stops. You don't hope it keeps coming up every time we get into a disagreement. Well, you know, you right. But I have no problem. I admit to it. I'm right. Because that's what my therapist said. You just got to admit, accept it, and move on. You know what I'm saying? But does it come up? Yeah, it comes up. Especially in real deep ones. It comes up. I just got to admit to it and say, yeah, I did it. You right. I can't deny it. I shouldn't have. I was wrong. And I got to move on.
But see, that's when she got backed in the corner and she needed some leverage.
Yeah,
she needed some leverage. Like,
but that was like that's a haymaker though. It was a haymaker every time. It was a haymaker.
Hey Tim, she's in the corner going, I'm losing the battle. He's winning. Okay. What about that time that you? And then it's like, oh, that was a gut punch. I needed to get a leg up because I'm losing the fight.
You know, I'm down for 7 count.
It's interesting that you say that she was backed in the corner. Y'all ain't got to be backed in no corner.
That's true.
Y'all ain't got to be backed in no corner. Y'all pull that thing out when y'all want to. Benefit you.
That's your ace in the hole.
I especially tell young guys, I say, listen, man, stay faithful. It ain't just because God say be faithful to your wife, because you don't want to give her that power over you. Because she will use it. She will bring it up every time it's convenient for her to bring it up. Anytime, can you do such and such, such? Man, I don't feel like it. Oh, I bet you do it for so-and-so, wouldn't you? You see what I'm saying? Whenever it's convenient, it's going to come back up. And now you be like, oh man, I got to get up and do this because otherwise, and number one, we fight too much. We don't actually argue. We fight.
Right.
We try to say we don't have conversations. We fight because it's a verbal assault against each other. And so nobody's hearing what the other person is saying. That's why I say when it's time to communicate, go somewhere, sit down where it's a peaceful environment and actually communicate what's going on. And there's always a risk because if I'm vulnerable, I'm giving you the power to hurt me. When I'm vulnerable with you, I'm giving you giving you the ammunition. When I expose my heart to you, you see the things that hurt me, I give you the ammunition. But you got to have enough self-control not to use it.
But as a woman, it seems like, I'm going to tell you straight up, I feel like sometimes as a woman, y'all can't be hurt. I know y'all say, no, I'm just being straight up. Y'all got this, I can't, I'm looking at y'all's pictures right here, right now on the screen. Y'all don't look like anybody that could be, like what? Nothing I do will scare you. Nothing I do will hurt you. But you know that you can be. So then the woman is like, in other words, I have no ammunition. I have nothing to work with. When I'm in a disagreement or whatever, I gotta have, give me a response, give me a reaction, give me something. And y'all be like, you done? Oh, you done? I mean, it's like, okay, y'all don't feel nothing, like y'all numb sometimes. And I mean, I know I'm wrong, but it just as men, y'all make me feel like y'all don't have no.
But that's not what you're looking at, though.
I'm asking the guys. What's the universal key? What's the universal sign that a woman has gone too far?
Say it again.
What's the universal sign that your woman has gone too far?
When they say something about your mama.
No, when we get silent.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
When we get silent, that's to tell women, oh, I need to pull up.
But see, I'm glad you said. I'm glad you said that, because you led me to something, and that is this: there's an art to any conversation. There's an art to debate. There's an art to the actual argument, and then there's even an art to the confrontation itself. And if you don't understand those rules, see, here's the thing. My wife used to do this all the time. And when I say all the time, she would get upset and yell at me. And then I naturally talk loud. I sing loud, I play loud, everything I do is at a really good volume. And so if I talk at my natural voice, then her next comeback is, stop yelling at me. You don't have to yell at me. Well, how the fuck do I combat that when you've been yelling at me for an hour and I'm just speaking at my normal tone?
Right.
So that's her way of controlling the dynamic, controlling the argument.
For sure.
But then here's the other thing. If we get into a situation and I don't have a response, she gets mad because I don't have any passion about it. No, I just don't want to argue with you about it. I just don't want to get in a situation where I say something you don't agree with, and next thing you know, I'm on the losing end. So, but then there's this other thing, and this is the other mechanism. I don't know about you guys, but it messes with me every time. Tears. I'm trying not to get to where I'm indifferent to, you get mad, and you're wrong, but your immediate weapon is to go to tears. To cry. Because how do you argue with somebody that's crying? Even though they're wrong, I'm saying, that's another lose-lose situation. So the best thing for me to do, I found, is I'll walk away from the conversation and I'll write down everything that just took place. I literally write it down. And then when we get together later on, I say, here's what happened yesterday. Now, this is hopefully, I'm hopefully giving somebody gold, because for me, this has worked through the years. Here's what happens just now. Obviously, it's in a moment of peace. Mm-hmm. Here's what happens yesterday. We were having this discussion. You asked me how I felt about thus and so. Then you got mad at me when I gave my answer. And then I lay out, the criterion for whatever happened. And I'll give you the best example I can give you. My wife was married prior to our getting married twice. Both times, her counterpart, her husband, stepped out on her. The second husband was extremely physically abusive. The first husband was emotionally abusive. So she brought all that in, because I didn't know shit about this until after we were married. So the first mistake was I didn't know her like I should have known her before we got married. But more importantly, she, in the first 4 or 5 years of our marriage, she'd have a dream about me cheating and be pissed off at me the next day when she woke up. Now, damn the fact that I don't know what the fuck your dream was or why you interjected me into that. But all of a sudden, you're mad at me for shit that didn't even happen.
Right.
You go on and on and on and on. Till finally I had to make her understand, I'm not that guy. I'm not the guy that cheated on you. I'm here with you. And the only reason I argue with you is because I care. If I don't care, I walk away. I can leave you alone and never worry about it again. But because I care and I want us to be able to, and when I say argue, I'm not saying, to me, the volume of an argument don't have shit to do with the weight of the conversation. You can get as loud as you want and still not be saying anything.
And so to me, that you can be quiet and still not be, that'll make you wise. But the point is, it's the content of the argument that concerns me always. If you come into me, you're playing dirty pool, you're bringing up something that was in the past, and then you get upset if I do the same thing, then we're not on even, it's not an even playing field.
Yeah.
So there's an art to any communication, any debate, any conversation. There's an art to it. And you've got to somehow get on I would say the righteous side for both of you, get on the righteous side of that. And I'm not saying in terms of Christianity or anything like that, but I'm saying you get in a place to where you're not trying to hurt each other, but you're trying to understand.
Yeah.
The last thing I'll say is the worst advice I ever got about marriage was from a pastor. So the church thing, I don't go for that. The worst advice I ever got about marriage. Seriously, it cost me 7 years of my life.
Yeah.
It's from a pastor who didn't have the nuts to say, listen, Sheikh, you're messing with this woman. You don't need to be with her. Y'all don't need to get married because it's not going to work. Instead of him telling me the truth, like her father did before I got married, instead of him telling me the truth, knowing that he's my spiritual guidance, he said, man, you got to do what's right before God. You got to make this woman whole. Damn the fact that she already got 3 kids that ain't mine, 3 other niggas. You know what I'm saying? So all of a sudden, I got to make her whole. And I went for it. I went for the okie doke because I'm trying to live right.
Oh, wow.
So I don't roll with the church, that whole thing.
And with that statement, we will issue our first hymn of the day.
Damn.
There you go.
Unc said his pastor gave him a SIP card, said this is what you go to be accepted.
Oh my goodness.
Damn that pastor.
I want to address what Alicia just said, because Alicia said, let's be clear, most men do not want to have serious conversations about anything, especially relationship issues.
That's so untrue. That is so untrue.
That's not true.
Yeah.
I will say this. Most men are not willing to talk about anything they're deficient in. We don't go there.
That's true, Your Honor.
We'll talk about money when we got it. We'll talk about them finances when we good.
That's also true.
We'll talk about sex.
That's true in your case.
And we'll talk about sex when we know we straight. But if we deficient, we ain't so quick to have. Don't mean we won't, but we ain't gonna initiate those conversations. Guarantee you.
Well, then I must be wired completely different because I'm a dreamer, and I talk about all of this, everything I could possibly talk about that affects life. Period. I try to talk about it, discuss it, and some of that stuff, yeah, I know it's gonna hurt, it's gonna be painful. But you said something earlier, and to me it bears repeating. I'm gonna be vulnerable to someone I trust, but I'm only gonna be vulnerable as long as I trust you. The moment you step over that line, I'm no longer going to be vulnerable to you. Then we got a problem. So that's why I would rather discuss it, and try to get to the root of it and deal with it.
If you want to amend what you said, Alicia, and say most men do not want to have arguments about anything, especially relationship issues, we can get down with that entire statement. But most men don't mind. Listen, if a man married you, he don't mind talking to you about stuff. What he don't want to do is just step in and argue with you pointlessly, and you're not truly trying to hear his perspective. And that is what happens a lot of times. There are a lot of times it's just you this and this, and you need to do this and you need to do that. But no man wants to sit here and be dictated to about what the hell he ain't doing. So we're gonna have a dialogue, but let's have a dialogue.
I tell you this, as men, I'm encouraging us to stop treating these ladies with kid gloves. If that's what they want to have these conversations, stop treating them with kid gloves. Then have that real conversation and be honest with them. All right, don't worry about it. I'm gonna talk to you like I talk to my brothers in the barbershop. You don't want to have that conversation, do you, ladies? You probably don't, because we get real, raw, and uncut. Because let's think about it now. In 2022, there's a lot more safe spaces for us men to express ourselves and how we really feel. And I think a lot of these women are scared and nervous about that because there wasn't a safe place for us. Our safe place was, like I said, in the barbershop, in the garage, when we out there chilling, drinking beers, the ladies in the other part of the house, and we in this part of the house down in the man cave where we can have our conversations and talk about whatever. But now there's more spaces where we could talk. And these women are being witness to some of these conversations, and they don't like to hear their response or the answers.
Well, I am an anomaly because I grew up in a barbershop. So I remember being right in the middle of all those conversations. Absolutely love those conversations. Probably one of the reasons why, I'll be quick to argue, because that sounds like that's a lot of the stuff they will be doing in there. They having a lot of those therapeutic conversations, but then, they would argue about different things or whatever as well. So yeah, I hear that, but I think we do want to hear what you got to say. We do want to know how you really feel. Who wants to be in a relationship with somebody who's like, well, I'm only going to give you the, this part of it. I'm not going to give you the real me. What?
Y'all say that, but then you ask us, do we look fat in this dress?
Want the truth? Do you want the truth?
Yeah.
Do you want
look bad the mug?
And that same table gets turned, bro. So when a man asks us the same thing, be expected to get the whole truth and nothing but the truth as well.
Because here's the thing. Here's the reason why if a woman feels like a man would not have a conversation with her and all this type of stuff. Speaking to Alicia's point, you've showed him something outside the conversation to let him know he can't trust you.
Oh.
So now when it's time to sit down and have a conversation, he tight-lipped because he's like, I don't know what you're going to do with this information. Because you showed
the last time
outside. Listen, women, let me tell you, if you see your husband, we gain weight over the years. Don't walk by him and pat his belly. You are now judging him. You pass a judgment on him, but we, like you said, we can't tell you that you can gain that weight. We got a lot.
No, I'll be honest with you. I love to go pat my wife's booty because it done got big over the years, Doc. So I
can't do it.
You want him to pat that ass.
It wasn't like that when we got married, Doc. She done got a badunkadunk now, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like, yeah.
But can I say something? The fact that y'all having a conversation about who's right is, to me, is the foundation of the problem. Because if we have a discussion about something, are we trying to resolve the issue or is somebody trying to win? Because if all you want to walk away with the conversation is whether or not you were right or not, we already off to the wrong start. This is not about being right. This is about fixing whatever the problem is. How do we fix this thing that has emerged in our marriage that needs to be resolved? How can you be heard and I be heard, and then we find a common ground in that resolution? But you said, why is it a competition for the woman?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, listen.
Because we talk, all I do is win. Okay.
I'm just saying, the ones that fellas, y'all might want to jump in on this because
Have you ever heard? I used to hear guys say this all the time, and it was, to be truthful, it was older guys that would say that. Hey man, do you want to be right or you want to be married? And in most instances, I would defer to that. Because, okay, is it worth me arguing over something I know is going to be a dead issue a week from now? So that's I would defer to that on those things. But when it comes to topics that affect the foundation of our household, no, we got to deal with this. We got to discuss this. And yes, it's probably going to be painful. But again, I'm not of the mindset that you can't handle confrontation or conflict. I'm of the mindset that if you want to win, you don't want confrontation or conflict. But the reality is we're going to have that. That's just you know what I don't like? Don't tell me how your knees are hurting or your back is hurting and you've gained a lot of weight. And I can't say, hey, babe, let's just go for a walk. Let's start walking. Let's do some things to help. Because if I can't offer suggestions without hurting your feelings, then you put me in a corner that I can't come out of. And you won't listen to sound judgment. You won't listen to sound reason. If you tell me, Shake, hey man, the reason, like my doctor says, Shake, I want you to lose, 30 pounds or 40 pounds or whatever. Why is it so easy to hear that from my doctor, but not from my wife?
Because he ain't married to you.
But that's just the point. I should have it should be the other way around.
Yeah.
It should be the other way around. I should trust her so much that, you know what, I'm going to get on top of that.
Because they don't
man,
hear.
You accept it. You're more willing to accept that as a man. But a woman, man, they can't accept that. What are you saying? Well, what's old to you is new to somebody else.
No, because if we say you gain weight, what they hear is he doesn't find me attractive anymore.
Talk about it, sir.
He's looking at other women. He finding other women desirable. We just saying, I'm concerned about you. Let's fix it. Yeah. Like, what is it about women that don't listen to men when we know what we talking about? Like my wife has started to cook. Praise God. She started to cook. No, I'm saying because my wife was not a cook. I understood this. I knew this.
Right.
I know how to cook. I'm the cook in my house and everything. She won't let me in the kitchen with her. Won't let me in the kitchen with her.
Because you're going to be stepping over, reaching over, telling her what she ain't doing right.
No. But she's making that assumption.
That's what she thinks. Right.
But if you learning to cook and you have somebody who knows how to cook right there with you, why wouldn't you listen to it?
Yeah, Kiana, why won't you listen to? I mean,
you are the kitchen police. You are the kitchen police. Al ain't on her. Al will tell you. Lloyd will be like, "What's that? Y'all using up all the salt? What's up with the? Where's all the butter going?"
I say this: just let her learn by trial and error, man. I mean, that's what I had to do. I went to a lot of bad dishes.
Wow.
But eventually, she came around. Now I'm eating better.
Here's the other thing.
We can cut down the learning curve, though. We can cut down the learning curve.
I'm trying to help you cut the field a little bit.
Here's the other thing you probably had going for you, Tim, is that when you got those bad dishes, were you able to say, "Hey, baby, you're a little heavy on the garlic with this. Damn, this is salty." Were you? You know what I'm saying? How did you approach that so that the recipes refine themselves?
He didn't say nothing.
Refine themselves.
This is what I did. I love leftovers, but she see I didn't go for seconds.
Wow.
Okay.
Hey, she started taking mental notes. Like, okay, I didn't get that one right.
Yeah, he ain't going back.
I think. Go ahead, Derrick. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying, and if you got a husband who at least was an ex-athlete and knows how to work out, and you say, I need to work out, but you won't listen to him when it comes to working out. I don't want you telling me what to do. It's like,
yeah,
you preaching down, boy. Well, what's your cash app, boy? What's your here? Put this money in your pocket. Take that with you.
I know that's right.
When our words are not valued, we won't talk either.
Say it again.
When our words are not valued, we won't talk either.
Right.
We got nothing to say. Yep. Yeah, I'll tighten up real fast if it feels like I'm just screaming at a wall. Like, oh, okay, we don't hear. Okay, well, good. I'll just go over here and sit down and let you figure this out. But then it turns out to be a Thanos moment. You could not live your own failure.
Wow.
Now, where did it bring you? Baby, how we do this? I tried to tell you that 3 months ago.
Yeah. This is one of the things I'll see. You hear about these stories, but I see how they handle that. I'll be like, ladies, why don't y'all ever hold each other accountable? Why don't y'all do that more? I don't understand. Y'all, it's like this sister code that I'm not gonna say anything. And she know better. No, she don't. She don't know better because she wouldn't keep on doing it. But y'all not challenging her. Y'all not holding her accountable. Y'all not saying anything. Y'all just let her keep doing that silly mess and think it's all right.
Now,
And then when it goes blowing up in the face, you're like, man, then y'all be ready to talk behind the back.
I say
Yeah,
this.
she knows she was sloppy.
When a woman knows she's doing foolish things, she is not looking for the friends that's gonna bring common sense.
No, hell no.
She
They run
avoids
for them.
They
run from them.
Friends that don't co-sign.
But now,
It's only when she wants to change she'll talk to the friend that has the good sense to tell her, girl, you know you was wrong. She ain't looking for her.
No, she said that friend's too judgmental, too critical.
and we saying that's my favorite friend. I'm trying to bring her home for dinner. What you talking about?
Hey, when the last time you hung out with so and so?
Hey. Don't tell me you need to call Shanae.
Are you trying to tell me that men ain't the same way and it's just the women that experience this? You ain't calling up your bros to get you to co-sign.
Men do a better job of holding each other accountable.
Hey, society hold us accountable.
Wait a minute. But that you said you got these all your brethren hold you accountable every time, man. Come on.
Yeah, but I've got at least 4 or 5 brothers in my circle that will say, Shake, that ain't right. Shake, that's fucked up. That don't look good. That don't work. You got to do this. You know what I'm saying? I got brothers that'll say, listen, man, if we're going to plan out this 10-year plan, you got to be around. You know what I'm saying? I can't have you in a wheelchair, crippled or whatever. You know what I'm saying? We trying to go to Spain or whatever. So, I do have people that hold me not just accountable to myself, but to the relationship that we have. Yeah. Because that's the other side of it. What I really want is my wife to have the same type of relationship I have with my boys.
Yeah.
In fact, I want her to be my best friend.
Women don't talk like we do.
Right.
Y'all do not talk like a lot. Me and my friends, most of our conversations start with, okay, man, tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, man, tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And we'll go into it. We'll say, yeah, man, you was kind of rough.
Yeah, you gotta drop the ball on that one, my boy.
Yeah, and
we'll do that. Women do
and then
not
they say
like I've seen. I don't
they said, man, your shit stinks. You sure?
Yeah,
dog. And don't smell good because you ain't doing right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you something. I've kind of whittled my life down to those friends. Like those are actually the only friends I really talk to. I don't really talk to like when Tara said, well, guys like to hang out with their not real ones.
You know why he hanging out? Something's going on in the house.
Yeah.
Or something ain't going on in the house.
Something ain't going on in the house. Right.
Something ain't going on in the house.
You unpack that a little bit, would you?
What do you mean?
Something's going on in the house.
If a man, because we would do avoidance. If we feel like we're not getting nowhere with you, we do avoidance. And a good dude will hang out with his friends. Because he said, I can't be here, but at least let me go somewhere where I ain't gonna do nothing foolish.
Right.
Okay.
But it becomes avoidance because there doesn't seem to be an inroad to getting some headway.
Yeah.
And I say this too, as I get older, I have less and less tolerance for BS. So I really don't want to hang out with guys that ain't gonna give me real good advice. Like I don't have time for that. I don't want to hear all the fluff and stuff, man. It's too much on the line now. I done hit the top of I'm hit the top of the hill. I'm on my way back down. I don't have time to be making a whole lot of mistakes. So I need to, as my granddad would say, I need to cut the field, get to where I'm trying to go so I can be successful. And so I don't have time to be around a bunch of raggedy dudes. And you might know a bunch of raggedy dudes, Tara, but that don't mean that I don't run in them circles. And so it's hard for me to relate to what you're saying.
It's hard for me to relate as well because I hear y'all saying y'all need to have those friends. I don't have a lot of friends. I have I don't have a handful. I got, my husband is my best friend, and I got my my line sister back from college, and we are the best of friends. And but she is I can run it to her and she'll listen and she'll be like, you was wrong, right? No, I don't want to hear that. But that's my girl, and I know she's not trying to hurt me. And I think sometimes that's the reason why we don't run to each person for accountability, because we like, look, either you done had a relationship and somebody you trusted, you was totally transparent with, did something, went behind your back and got with, the same person that you was in a relationship or whatever with. So now you're looking at it like, that's why I don't trust, So you got a small, not even forming a whole circle. You got 2 or 3 that are your very best friends. But I mean, we don't go around saying I'm hold me accountable. They just usually do. They either say, yeah, or no. But now you got the friend that will co-sign on anything. But the truth is, if you really want, like Derrick said, the change, you don't want the person who's just gonna brown nose you and just go ahead and say, yeah, when you know that you wrong. You want somebody to say, yeah, you might need to fix that.
But here's what's interesting. I've never asked my friends to hold me accountable. It's just built in our DNA. It's built into the fabric of the friendship. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying it's hard for me to relate, because I didn't pick that dude from the I didn't pick that dude that wouldn't hold me accountable from the very beginning. You know what I'm saying? Like I knew I didn't start calling you my friend until I realized, like, dude, okay, I could probably talk to him. Yeah, okay. He gonna keep it 100 with me. I like him. Okay, he's in the group. He's in the circle. That's kind of how men do. We don't know. Because time. One thing men do, we don't rush into friendships like women do. Women will meet somebody 3 weeks later. Oh, that's my girl. That's my bestie. That's my girl. That's yes. Men don't do that. We're gonna feel you out. We might toss you a few test questions to see where you land on it. And based on where you land, we're like, this nigga's crazy. Okay. Yeah, he ain't it. So and we'll hold him at bay. Not to say we gonna he's out the circle where he just go wow. But we just might not let him all the way in. But as we keep throwing them questions at you and you keep answering them the right way, we're like, okay, this is a solid dude.
But did you get taught that early in life? Is that something that fathers pass along to their daughters, or is that something we just supposed to know?
Well, like you said, this younger generation, they hit that button now. They friends. It don't matter. Like Lord said, we friends within 2 hours. No, it ain't how I do it.
Right.
I got a requirement. If you're not bringing up to me mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and financially, I can't put you in my friend square. No, we can't do that. Saying I got to prioritize you. This friend goes here, this friend goes that friend goes there. And I know which friends I need to rely on and which ones I can't. He may be good financially. If you get some financial advice, I'm gonna go to him. He's got some good relationship advice. I'm gonna go to him. Emotionally, he's stable. Spiritually, he's ready. I'm gonna go to him. Some friends you just can't go for everything, but you got to know which ones is which.
Yeah.
Not saying that they are all good dudes, but some got specialized in certain things.
Yeah. And how is he handling the other relationships that he has with his wife, with his kids, and that's kind of how is he handling those? I'm looking at that too. If you got a side piece, yeah, we probably gonna hang out.
Oh,
I don't need them problems. I don't need them problems. I don't need to be lying for you. Was he with you? Like, oh no, you're about to put me in there. No, So yeah.
Tar said it was bad when folks in the circle messed up, do y'all kick them out? Or do you build them up and course correct?
Well, the first thing is, Tara, if it's a friend, ultimately, you're going to have to say, hey, man, you're wrong. And let's figure out how we can, at least for me, I tell my friends, hey, bros, that's busted. You know what I'm saying? That's wrong. Now I need to understand why this took place, and before I go into anything else, because for one, I don't need that to leak into my house. You know what I'm saying? I need you to tell me what's what, because I don't want to be your secret witness, and I don't want to be your judge. I still want to be your boy. I've had guys that had indiscretions in their marriage and everything, and we still friends. But I had to come to them true. And I also there had to be a season, I'm gonna be real with you, where I couldn't walk with him. You got to figure this out, man, because You messing it up for me. You know, so you gotta now again, we can talk about it, conversate as much as possible about it, and I'll try to help you walk through it as best I can. But there's two things that happen, I find, at least with the guys that I call friends. Usually when they call me, they're genuinely sorry. You know what I'm saying? Because they know how I'm gonna come. So that's the first thing. So they ain't calling me with no bull, like, man, I can't believe she's tripping. All I did was so and so and so and so. Man, it was the one time. And, you know, it's just because she did, then she did, and, you know, blaming it on her and all that. No, I ain't trying to hear all that. So, but the other side is when we do get to the truth, then I'll say, hey, man, here's what you got to do. Here's the way I see it, you know. And if you're going to move on, you guys going to have to get some help. And it can't be from your mama, can't be from her mama. Matter of fact, you do better to leave them out of it if you can and get some real help. And, you know, sometimes that's, you know, I think people, especially people that get married, man, they need to get counseling before they get married, man. They just, I'm sorry, man. I don't know how to tell anybody that, but the truth is, if you don't, if you're not married and you haven't gone through some counseling, don't get married. That's simple, man, because you don't know how to resolve conflicts. You don't know what that first argument's really going to be like, because that first argument can wreck the marriage after the honeymoon. You know what I'm saying? And next thing you know, you on 3, 5, 10 years of bad space because you didn't get it resolved before you got married. Then you find out you married to the wrong person. And it happens all the time.
Yeah. To answer Tara's question, I don't know if you have to kick people out the circle as much as they may kick themselves out. Like
the standard.
The standard.
The standard of friendship. They recognize it, be like, yeah, I want to fool with that. It's like when people know they owe you money, they don't come around.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
One of those situations.
And you ain't even holding it against them. You ain't even mad.
You ain't got to say nothing, but they avoid it because they know, you know, it's the same instance. If the standard of the friendship is set at a certain level, and if they're not, the standard makes them uncomfortable, and they just kind of bow out.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. I mean, you hate to see it because you want to see you don't want to toss somebody in the wind. Like I got a friend right now. You know, it's funny. We talked about abuse, and I got a friend. He's like a brother to me, and we don't hang like that anymore. We don't really talk like that anymore. But if he called me tomorrow, I'd be right there because that's the history of our friendship. But I watched that dude go through some of the most horrific things in his family that a person could go through. Like I mean, just horrible, horrible, horrible things. And so him keeping the standard as we got older, I knew it was going to be hard for him because he had no role model, zero. Okay. Not his mama, not his daddy, not family members. He just didn't have. He had us, but our influence is only going to stretch so far. Well, it's only going to stretch as far as he has the capacity to receive it. And if he's getting it from us for an hour or two when we see him, but he's getting 120 hours worth of crap from his family and friends every single day, it's going to be tough for him to maintain the standard because, you know, I never forget, this friend told me something one time and it blew my mind. He introduced one of our other friends to a girl that was working with him. Beautiful young lady, got her head on straight. She was trying to do some good things, and he introduced her to our other friend, but he was single. And so our other friend said, hey, man, why didn't you try to holler at her? Like, and he said, oh, no, I'm not worthy of her.
Wow.
So when you have, I mean, how do you, you know, to Tara's point, course correct, do I help him course correct? Man, I can set the example and talk about how I got there, but I don't know how to help you see your worth and your value. I don't know how to do that. You got to see that for yourself. And if you don't see it and you can't get past you know, that's where like what Tim said, the therapy and the counseling comes in, and you got to go get some help, bro, because you're not seeing. I mean, can you imagine you handing over Halle Berry to somebody else because you say, "Well, I'm not worthy of Halle Berry," but Halle Berry would like you the same way she liked this dude. So why would you do that? Why would you? You know, I don't know. It's weird. It was a weird circumstance, but I don't think you ever kick anybody out per se. You just maybe y'all going in two different directions. Maybe he can't maintain the standard. Maybe it could be a myriad of things, but I don't know if you ever kick him out.
And you got to understand, accountability is a personal choice to submit to it.
Yeah,
you have to submit to that. Otherwise, somebody is just, you know, they staying on you for something that you ain't really personally invested in trying to keep up anyway. And eventually things will fade anyway with that. But that person has to have something in them that says, you know what, I'm trying to be better.
yeah,
Trying to get better. I'm trying to grow. So I submit myself to this process, whether it be, hey, I need to hook up with you once, twice, every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or something like that, and just talk about it or something, you know. But it has to be a personal stake in it to where I say, I'm trying to get better or stay the course, that type of thing.
yeah.
Well, they're just saying, man, if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to get out of the room and find another room to go to.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, if you see people around you are doing better, then that to me, now I'm speaking personally, to me, that would drive me to want to do better myself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, you know, some cats are just not built like that, though, Lord. You know how that go.
Yeah, no question. No question. I want to end on this last question. As black men, because I often get told by noisemakers and people that watch this show, they'll say, man, y'all different. Like Mama Noise gets inboxed all the time. Where are these brothers being? Where, you know, these brothers, blah, 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 blah. And I guess you know, as you grow up or as you go through life, you don't realize how you've surrounded yourself with a certain type of thing. And so that thing becomes a normal to you. So for me, brothers like y'all are normal to me. Like I don't rock with nothing less. That's what you know. So, but I'm starting to realize more and more, it's like we do this show, and then beyond that this is not normal. You guys are not normal. You're unicorns. So without the you know, pink and frilly stuff. So how do we duplicate this understanding of manhood for other black men? And I don't even want to say young black men. I'll just say other, because there's some guys our age that are still doing stupid stuff. So how do we, or can we duplicate this type of manhood for other black men?
I think, I mean, just what you said, problem is we're an exception when we should be the rule. This type of manhood should be the rule for black men, but it's not. It's going to take us as men, and I'm talking about the younger generation. I got two nephews who, you know, now they've made their mistakes and everything, but genuinely they want to do right. They want to get better, the whole nine. So we have our moments. We go grab some crab legs or something. We sit and we talk. We talk about life. They ask questions. Say, man, I tell them what I can. If I don't know, I get the answer for you, but whatever. But young guys have to have somebody to look up to in the right regard. And for us, if we notice they're the guys that are kind of gravitating to us, we need to create, you know, scenarios where they can actually get with us and just have those conversations. Man, they love it. They love it. Young guys love to get with a dude that gets it and just sit and talk to him, man, for a little bit. You know, old head, whatever you want to call him. They love it, man. And we give too much attention to the dudes who really ain't trying. We give them way too much attention. Even females give them too much attention. So we just it's a standard of manhood that has to be solidified across black men across the board.
So I was like, so when y'all doing the conference, I can invite some in. Great question. Great question.
I know a lot of times you can just lead by example. You got to give them something positive to see. Man, the black man's image, I'm always about promoting black men. Black man's image is very important because our image is shoddy right now. It's not in a good place like it should be. And an image of a lot of black men right now is like, losers, jobless, lazy, hoodlum, just different little things that a lot of people have thinking about when you think about a black man. And that shouldn't be always the case because there's a lot of positive, great black men out here doing great things. We just don't get recognized. We don't get the attention like we should because they always focus on the negative. So my thing is lead by example. I try to be the best example for my son. Every day he sees me go out and work, do what I gotta do. You know what I'm saying? I had to explain to him the other day coming home. Hey Lord, I let you know he's going to get the opportunity to play in Puerto Rico.
Oh wow!
With a team, a Puerto Rican team. So,
awesome.
But I was just explaining to him, there's a cost behind everything you do. Nothing's free. Right. You know what I'm saying? For me, taking time off of work, that them 7 days I'm out to take off of work to take you, that's a cost. You know what I'm saying? Us to get on that plane to fly over, there's a cost. A hotel, right. There's a cost. And, just explaining that to him. And now he's putting it in terms like, okay, well, Daddy, I don't want you to have to take vacation time. So can this person know that they can't go? Right. Me and your mother agreed that it's got to be one of your parents there. We're not leaving you on someone else. That's not how we roll. One of us is going to have to either both of us going to be there or one of us is going to have to be there. So, but I'm just trying to be that example for him. I'm talking to his teammates about making smart and logical decisions.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Doing things like that. I go in there after practices, and just have talks with them guys and just shoot the boards. First I'll just sit there and listen. And then I just, ear hustle, however you want to call it, and just listen to what they talking about. Then I say, run a scenario to them. Guys, is that what you really want to do? Is that the type of relationship you want to have with this woman? You know what I'm saying? No, that's not what you want. Or, man, such and such got in trouble. What did he get in trouble for? Well, he got in trouble at home because he wouldn't listen to his mom. And I talked to him. I said, man, you got to be respectful to your mother. I said, she's going to be the most person, going to be in your corner more than any other person is your mother. Be respectful. And I just educate and teach them and let them know you got to have a certain level of appreciation for the things you have in your life. You're blessed to be here right now. So just educating, being a great example, that's some of your best teachers I think you can do. Yeah. And then whenever you, like my man said, you get opportunity to share and to encourage them and teach them. Man, teach the ones that want to be taught. Not everybody's going to make it. We need to go and get that out there right now. Not everybody's going to make it. Some people are going to fall to the wayside, and there's nothing we can do. You got to let them fall because they're just not ready to. They're not ready to go.
No, that's real.
Plenty, but the workers are few.
That's real. It's hard to say, but it's not. I mean, it's real. We can't save everybody.
Yeah, and I'll tell him what he said is, we got to bear fruit ourselves.
Yeah,
it has to be evidence that we know what we're talking about. There has to be evidence that we made some good decisions in our life. It can't always be learn from my mistakes. You can learn from my successes too. You know what I'm saying? People say experience is the best teacher. No, experience should make you a teacher. It should create a teacher. So we go through the things we go through. The next generation, let's teach them. That means conversations. But he right, we got to bear some fruit. There's got to be something about our lives that says, hey man, that cat know what he talking about. That's somebody I need to listen to. So absolutely.
But some of these people shouldn't be teaching.
Oh yeah, clearly. Yeah.
Well, a lesson can be learned from it all.
I know you can, but if you taking some of the stuff that people are telling you as facts and you like they speaking from a hurt place.
That's true.
And so they're not really giving you wisdom. Know the difference.
But you say
that don't sound right. There's a reason why it don't sound right.
But you say that, Mama Noise, even a fool can teach you something. Even the biggest dummy can teach you something. And it may teach you not to listen to dummies.
Right.
That's a lesson right there. Don't listen to fools.
which is a valuable lesson. Which is a valuable lesson.
You know, I was listening to you guys a minute ago, and I was thinking about this. The Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean are comprised of pretty much the same thing, but there's a part where they meet and they don't mix. They don't mix. It's two oceans that meet, and if you were at that part where they meet, they don't enter into each other's domain. They actually there's a impasse that takes place right there. Why did I say that? Because most of the people that I deal with seek me out to some degree, whether it's through a mutual love of music, life, science, whatever. But then there's the other element of that I naturally seek people who I want to be around. And what I found is, like, we go into a lot of these communities that have broken homes, what you call a broken home. I don't call it a broken home anymore because I came from a single parent home that really wasn't broken. It never was a home for two parents, but it wasn't broken. My mom was a complete parent. But the point is, I go in these situations, and a lot of times people get impressed by what you've achieved or what you've done. But does that mean they really want to follow in your footsteps? No, but they do want to glean, hopefully, something from you. And so what I find is, especially with young men, is I'm always in a position to listen. And for me, it's not about saying a whole lot. It's just about being there listening. And I find that they'll share stuff. A lot of times they share stuff that, first of all, I don't have an answer for, because I haven't either lived that or I didn't think that way when I was their age. So what I do is I listen, and I become that sounding post that they throw their ideas and their life's experiences on. And if I can interject, I do. But it's just the fact that I was there that means the most to them.
Oh yeah.
I didn't give them any. Like I said, I walk away going, man, I don't know if I really helped these guys because I didn't have an answer for any of the query or the question. But the truth of the matter is, they come back later on and go, man, you just listen to me, and because a lot of times we'll say things out of our own stress or out of our own situation, and we'll work out the problem. We'll literally say what we're going through, and we work it out by voicing it. And if somebody's there to listen instead of just, man, here's what you need to do, or you need to go this, or you need to do, no, man. I just want to be available. Just like the men that were in my life when I was a little boy. They didn't have all the answers because they didn't go through what I went through. They didn't experience a lot of what I experienced. But because they were listening, I got a chance to voice what I was and actually process and get to the next step. And that's what I would say to any man is don't go in expecting to be the answer. Don't go in expecting to know everything. Don't go in expecting to solve all their problems. Go in expecting to listen. And if you'll listen, most of the times people work out their own problems because I can't make you stop doing drugs. You have to decide to do that. You have to hit your bottom to do that. Now, when you tell me about it and I can listen, I can tell you, okay, well, maybe you shouldn't have done that, or maybe you should have done this. But the truth of the matter is you're going to work it out on your own. The Bible says, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. It doesn't say work out your brother's salvation or give them the answer. And so every man, be it a boy or we're calling men past 18 or whatever, but they have their own mechanisms for working out different things and receiving information. And I think it's important that we become really, really great listeners.
Yeah, you're right. I think a lot of times people have to understand that everybody needs their own experience with the information that they've been given. When you look at, I see parents that try to steer their kids and so they can avoid certain things.
Mm-hmm.
They need their own experience with the information that you've given them, the stuff that you taught them. They need their own experience because it can't just be your information. They have to personally own that as their own. When my mom used to tell me, not to go certain places, stay out of certain places. Well, eventually got to a point to where I understood why I don't need to go to those places. So now it became my own desire not to go to those places. So sometimes you need your own experience with the information. And for the person that's sitting and gave the information, you got to be patient with them and let them experience some things. And a lot of times, you know, they mess up. Teach them how to get back, show them how to come back from it, or leave that space for them to come back. And let me say, there's something unspoken about being around men. When you get, you know, especially young boys just being around men, there is something that is absorbed from just being in the atmosphere of men. And we need to create more instances where young guys can absorb from men and just be in that. It's like saying it ain't got to be a whole teaching thing. I tell people I was 12 years old. I came out to Dallas. I grew up in a house full of women. I came out to Dallas to Oak Cliff and stayed with my aunt who had nothing but boys. And I'm around boys all the time when I'm over her house. I spent a week there. I came back home and I was talking and people were looking at me crazy like, it's like your voice done changed. I said, what? They said, yeah, your voice done got deeper. There is something about just being in the atmosphere around men that you absorb, and it's unspoken.
Yeah.
And that's why we got to create the right environments to create the right mindsets and stuff, so people, young cats can absorb that.
And you have to be, the other thing, I agree with you. The other thing you have to be careful about is about the things that you tell people not to do. You know, the best way to get somebody to do something is to tell them how bad it is. Tell them you don't want sex, you don't want drugs, you don't want rock and roll, you don't want crack. You know, it builds their the inquisitive nature. It feeds that. You know, if you're constantly harping on, you know, the church I was in, for example, would talk about, you know, not getting in sexual relationships and all that. Well, damn, the pastor's son had kids at 15, you know, all the little girls are pregnant in the church, and you see the pulpit talking about, instead of giving them real education, real information. And to me, that's, if we're willing to go, you know, my son's at a stage where he's inquisitive about a lot of things, and I don't have all the answers. I can give him my experiences and my answers, but I also have to operate in the wisdom to know that there's a latitude that he's going to need for his life that I wasn't given at his age. I wasn't, you know what I'm saying? And he's going to experience things. You know, I don't know what it's like to be hooked on YouTube or Roblox or any of these video things. I don't know what that's like. I don't know what it's like to be hooked on crack from, you know, 10, 20 years ago. Most of the things that come to me were, you know, I was past the age where they were interesting. But the point is, I won't have the answer for somebody a lot younger because I haven't experienced a lot of those things. But what I can tell you is when you do go through those things, I can help you come out of them. But while you're in, I may not have the answer. And so, again, it's really important to me. I can't say it enough. And even as parents, just listen. Just listen, because they're going to tell you what they're struggling with. They're going to tell you what they're dealing with. The kids, when we go to the Union Gospel Mission, I go down there and do some counseling and stuff. And when I say counseling, they call it counseling. I just call it listening, you know, but I had to go through these tests, getting certified and do all that other stuff. But at the end of the day, all I'm doing is listening to people voice where they are. And then, I might say, well, there's this program that you can try, and here's what they do, and da-da-da-da-da. And that's kind of the end of it. But I find that they walk out of there feeling empowered because I listened for that 30 minutes instead of trying to, you know, give them information that I don't have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, like what you're talking about, that listening thing. And then sometimes you just got to get the ball rolling. You know, like on the way home yesterday, another conversation I had to have with my son was about that situation that happened at Central. So I don't know if y'all know anything or heard anything about that.
I did hear about it. I was very disturbed by it. Yeah. And I heard about the sexual situation, but I didn't bring it up. I brought it up to my son. I said, man,
Did you hear about what happened in Central? Have you talked to his cousin? Because his cousin goes there. And was he at practice today? No, he wasn't at practice. I said, man, I heard they had a sit-in, man, and they had a whole lot of mess going on there. And so then that's when he started talking about the other stuff, the assault and all that. And so from that conversation, it branched off as, man, don't you ever put yourself in a situation where you feel like you have to snatch a booty. That's not what we do. You don't have to. If the girl says no, you respect her answer, you go about your business. I said, you don't even stop the act. You walk away. You get your clothes on, you walk away. You leave the situation. Because we don't want no issues. You don't want to be like what's going on with Chris Brown. We don't want that.
Yeah.
We better than that. So I told him this. I said, look, you got plenty of opportunities to have some sex with any girl you want. I promise you. Another one's going to come along, and it might be her friend. The one that she may have told you no, but a friend going to be say, yeah, let's do it. And then there you are. But you don't have to force yourself on any woman. That's not what we do. But we was able to have that conversation.
Yeah.
And then they went even deep that, well, Dad, what do you think is going to happen to them boys? I said, unfortunately, them boys going to have to go to court and prove their innocence if they're innocent.
Yeah,
but if they're not,
right.
they got some different type of situations and they could ruin their lives. But I was able to have that conversation because of allowing him to continue to talk. Like my man said, I was able to just listen.
Yeah. And for those who may not know, I don't know names or anything like that, but there are allegations of, I don't know if it's just one singular player or several players who.
No, it's probably about 3 or 4.
It's about 3 or 4. Okay, that were accused of sexual assault to some of the young ladies in the school, and that the young ladies went and told. According to them, they told, "Hey, we're being taken advantage of," and they felt like they were dismissed by the administration and by the athletic department, that their voices were not being heard. So yesterday they staged the sit-in. And by the way, Central High School is a predominantly black school. It's damn near all black. And this is where this was occurring. And they staged the sit-in to the point where it got kind of out of hand yesterday. And then the police department had to be called in. So it's an interesting situation. I'm familiar with a couple of the guys. It's ironic too, because here's a program who all of my lifetime, and Tim, you probably say the same thing, all of my time in high school and even college and a little bit beyond, they were the team you scheduled for homecoming. And then it went from that to the team that nobody in the state on any divisional level wanted to play because they were winning state championships and they were so dominant. And now this occurs. So they've gone through a roller coaster.
Yeah, you gotta be careful how you celebrate young kids, because you can create an air that they can get away with certain things.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, you had schools that would let athletes and stuff get away with certain things that they shouldn't get away with. And I remember what's the movie with Denzel Washington? Yeah. And he was tough on the guys, and other coaches like, you might need to lighten up. He's like, no, I don't need to lighten up on them. They need this because the world gonna treat them, you know what I'm saying? So we can't create a false reality in the minds of these kids. And kids do crazy things anyway, and they just think it's just something to do. And I'm like, no, man, you got to have a bigger yes to say no. If there is nothing there to combat it, nah. That's why giving kids a sense of future, giving kids a sense of, there's something bigger that you're working towards, to where you don't want to jeopardize the bigger thing for something so small. That has to be set in place, because if you just hanging out and just doing stuff, man, you're gonna get into all kinds of things, especially as a teenager.
And to your point of what Tim said, we have to help specifically our young black men understand that at this age, at this stage of your life is a small thing. It is not that you about to forfeit 5 minutes of your life for the next 12, 13, 15, 20 years of your life. That doesn't make any sense, bro. That's going to be there. that's gonna be there. And guess what? If you handle your business right, it'll be there in abundance and with great options and choices. Like you can shop at the finest of stores for what you're looking for. So it don't make sense. I'm just saying it don't make sense to throw it all away for just to say to your high school buddies in the lunchroom, yeah, I tapped that. That's crazy. You just, it ain't worth it. It just ain't worth it. So, but I pray that the allegations are misconstrued, but it doesn't. Some of the things I'm hearing, like you probably hearing, Tim, it sounds like this is bad. It sounds like this is very bad. And I got a friend on that staff, and I'm just wondering what's going to be the fallout, because it feels like this is going to end in a very bad way for a lot of people, because you just can't have that kind of culture, especially on the backside of all that school has overcome and achieved to get to where it is now. Like, you know, that ain't the reputation now. They are a powerhouse in the state of Kentucky now. So you can't have that. You just cannot have it. Go ahead, Mama.
The problem with any allegation is there is no win. There's no win. If you are alleged or accused of doing something, especially as a black man, and even if you're vindicated, there is no win, because that accusation burns, stings, lasts for a long time, and you will always have other people who will be either prognosticators who said he did it but he got away, or if not here, somewhere else. So that sting will never go away. And so hopefully these guys are not guilty, but more importantly, hopefully they learn a lesson from the stain that's coming with this accusation, because it's going to last.
Well, I hope they're not guilty too. How can I say this? I hope they're not guilty too, unless they're guilty, then I want them to pay.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Like if they're guilty, then I need them then I need to learn that lesson.
Right.
You know, go ahead, Mama Noise.
I'm just, even in middle school, with the middle schoolers I've worked with, I've always been in black mama mode, letting our athletes, when I was in education, let them know, listen, I need you to understand something, son. You letting this little girl, you just because she'll let you, whatever it is you want to do, this little girl say she let you. All she got to do is change. If she all of a sudden decides she don't want to let you, or you going around trying to find somebody to videotape it with your cell phone, I'm like, I keep trying to tell them, listen, all you need is one time. And that, like Unc said, that will follow you. And nowadays, this phone business, you take a picture of yourself and you trying to send it to her, she sent it to you, or you got the video. I got the tape. I got the link. Like the guys on here say, send me the link. The link is where the whole school done seen the link. And it ended up just, I've just seen time after time, and I keep saying to these young men and these parents, I'm not trying to knock all parents, but I'm just here to tell you, giving your kids a cell phone without wisdom is giving them a loaded gun. They going around getting put out of school for videotaping in the locker room. Why do you need to be videotaping people changing clothes in the locker room? Why do you need to? Well, because you ain't got no wisdom. You sitting there going, "Oh, I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get her." What's wrong with you? You ain't getting wisdom.
I got to put a plug right where you just said that, because the other side of this is you said they can change their mind before, they can change their mind during. But guess what? The other reality of that is they can change their mind after it's over.
Right.
Because if ain't but two people in this room,
the remorse of
it's your word against theirs. And so they can come back and because there is genuinely an emotional instability at that age having sex anyway. So if you feel like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Or if my mama find out, oh my God, my mama found out. Well, what'd you do with that boy? Well, mama, he raped me. because I don't want to get punished. I don't want to be on punishment. That's the emotional instability of a child who doesn't understand consequence and doesn't understand the level and the depth of their words. So it's just not worth it. The risk is too great to derail your entire future. And I've seen it with athletes. I've seen it with singers. I've seen it with guys who were academically strong. I've seen them all fall down because of one moment in time.
I gave the example of Brian Banks. Lost the opportunity to play college football.
Great example.
Lost the opportunity to play in college football because of an accusation that came out to be not true. But his life was ruined for at least 8+ years of a situation that he didn't do. But just because his girl said he did it, he was ruined.
But like Derrick said, we enable our athletes and stuff. I saw a young man that went all the way through school not knowing how to read. I'm sitting there saying, we need to work on this child. He don't know how to read. Oh, he all right. Everybody knows he can't read. So what, we don't teach him to read? We don't help him? But you know what? Best believe he's out there on the field, and best believe his grades all of a sudden are good enough to play.
Who was the pro football player that couldn't read? Who was it?
Dexter Manley.
Dexter Manley. Yeah.
Dexter Manley.
Yeah. I think, but we give these kids way too much credit. They are not ready, but they steadily being thrown in adult situations. We give them access to too much adult situation, too much adult stuff, and expect them to behave out more mature. And they prove that they are not mature on countless occasions. They're kids.
I hate to bust you guys' bubble, man, but we live in a plantation society. These kids are being prepped earlier and earlier to be a part of the plantation, either the prison system or welfare system or the system of just being bound to the streets. They're being prepped for it. You know, right now, there are many studies that show that a child in the 4th grade, they already know where he's going to fit in the system. By the time he's in the 4th grade, they've got a prison or something mapped out for him. And the truth of it is, unless we start going, you know what, we have to speak truth to power. And I'm not just talking about government. I'm talking about to our children, to the people we're responsible for. We have to speak truth to power to them and make them understand you are being set up for failure. And I've got to do everything in my power to make sure that you can succeed. And the only way to do that is to be honest with them. I tell my son every day, man, you are a target. You're a target, man. There's little girls looking at you right now because of the mindset of their mamas saying, that's 18 years of welfare right there. That he's getting ready to be a musician. I'm getting ready to get paid. We just had a show, 3 weeks ago, where they talked about women who are plotting to get pregnant by rappers by collecting semen in a whatever.
Turkey baster.
There's a systematic attack on us. And if we're not honest with each other and start dealing with the truth, dealing with the facts, we're forever going to repeat the same procedure.
Well, this one thing we got to understand. To your point, this is why the conversation about what's wrong between black men and black women is so important. Because if there's no foundation to catch the kids, then it's open season on them. And see, nobody's thinking about that. Men are so wrapped up in what they want. Women are so wrapped up in what they want, but we still creating these kids.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's coming together for the sake of, you know what? We got to be the best us we can be because they need to be the best them that they can be. That's not how we think. We create the babies and then just kind of just let the world do what they want to with them.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, there are systems that are set up. They set the prison market by the literacy of kids in the 3rd or 4th grade. That's how they set the prison market. If you can read, if you cannot read by the 3rd or 4th grade, they already have you marked for prison. See, the world is 7-10 steps ahead of us. And they throw this mix in. Listen, one thing I noticed, white men and white women don't get along either. but they don't sit up there and blast each other like we do.
Right.
We are the only ones that will blast each other like this.
That's a great point. I never hear white men ain't shit.
No, but they have the same issues. They have the same issue. You'll catch one or two talking about it, but we're the ones that dog each other out. It's only in the black community that I see we will not listen. Even with all the foolishness that the TV producer, the movie producer that got in trouble around the same time Bill Cosby. Harvey Weinstein. Have white people put him out like we put Bill Cosby out?
Nope.
We run our own people down. We run each other down greater than anybody else because we're looking for how many likes we can get, how many followers we can get, how we can go viral, and all this other kind of foolishness. And some stuff you just got to need keep in the house. Let's deal with it in the house. But why create this atmosphere, create this air? Listen, it's nothing for me to go on TikTok, Facebook, anything, and find something negative about black men and black women. Nothing.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Nothing at all. We got to pull up. We can't expect the world to say, okay, let's help them. They're not going to help us because they benefit too much. Just like Shake said, they benefit way too much. We have to stop this. We have to stop talking about each other so bad. If I got a problem with my wife, let's deal with it here. I'm not finna go on social media and talk about, this Negro ain't no good and all. We gotta stop all that. Let's be more adult about our own situations.
Well,
let us be able to be willing to receive from other people. It used to be where we grew up where somebody could say something to your kids. If your kids is doing something. Hanaya's friend was on the phone with her or something. And she said, start barreling out some curse words or something. And we was like, wait a minute, Hanaya don't use those type of curse words. So you're not gonna talk to this ain't your friend if she's talking. So not only did we mention it on the phone, soon as she got out of school, Mr. Spence got out the truck and went and then said, "Hey, are you the little girl who was talking to my daughter on the phone the other day?"
It wasn't quite as aggressive as you said.
Listen, first of all, you failed to realize, right? So I mean, come on, you keep realizing you already 6'4". Those of us that are 5'3" and 5'2" are going, oh my gosh, this guy is coming this way, and what did I do? Do I know him? What is happening? And he's like, "Are you the little girl that talked to my daughter on the phone?" Dennis, yes sir, yes sir. I need you to know this is when you see her. This is who stands behind her. Her daddy, her mama. We're standing behind her, and we don't talk to her like that. So we're not going to stand by and let you talk to her like that. But we're also helping Hananiah to understand you don't have to stand, you know what I'm saying? Because kids don't know that, you got to help them to know what's a good friend, what's a bad friend, what's the right way to be treated, what's the wrong way to be treated. If we don't show them by example, then they'll just settle for any old type of raggedy friend and be like, well, this is my friend. You be like, wait a minute. I'm not sure this is your friend if you let them talk to you like that.
Yeah. We're running out of time. I do want to give some church announcements real quick. The first one is, first of all, y'all are amazing. And I didn't say that, get a chance to say this earlier, but Tim, thank you for sharing and being so transparent with the things you shared with us today. That was really incredible. I appreciate that, brother. Tonight, man, it's just a night of champions, man. I got the state champion coach, Charlie Ward, coming on. I got the athletic son champion coach, Scotty Davenport, who can't go to the tournament because NCAA got some bunk rules. That's a whole nother conversation. We're gonna get into it all tonight. They joining us tonight, and then tomorrow, Black Friday. Y'all want to pull up a Black Friday? We got just 3 topics. We got more, but 3 topics that just are just a flat out mess. The Jerry Jones situation is ridiculous. It's just really ridiculous.
I gotta catch that episode of Paternity Court.
Huh? What you say?
I gotta catch that episode of Paternity Court.
That's gonna be a good episode. That might be a record-breaking episode of Paternity Court. The Ryan Coogler situation. If you're not familiar with that, ridiculous. Truly ridiculous. And I'm not saying Ryan didn't maybe not handle it the best way. Like maybe there's some things he could have done differently, but but at the same time, the outcome was ridiculous. And then I don't know how familiar you are with the Kelly Clarkson situation, but also equally ridiculous. So
how she get on Black Friday?
Well, she got black problems. Let me just tell you. She got black problems for sure. Like that is ridiculous.
And the Ryan Coogler situation, I call it black while banking. I'm just saying.
Listen. Some of it is Ryan's fault. Okay, bro. Some of it is definitely Ryan's fault. Because I don't know if I would have handled it quite the way that he handled it. But at the same time, when you see the video, you like, black man, come on.
Black man.
Come on. What y'all can't do better than this. Like for real. So we got a lot to talk about tomorrow. It's gonna be a good show. Black Friday is gonna be a good show. So y'all tune in for that tomorrow. Tim, I don't know if you heard what I said earlier, but thank you, man, for being so transparent today. That was just incredible. Makes me love you even more, brother. That's all. And you know what? One thing for sure, and I'm gonna make it a point. Me and Mama Noise gonna work this out because the last couple of years we've been building, and now we're at that point where we're about to start doing some really amazing things. But I am going to block out some time to get to Western High School this year and sit with those brothers and just have some dialogue, man. Because that's my heart. Western will always be my heart. It's what molded me and shaped me. And I'm proud of those young men, man. And the years they had, the last 2 years they've had just been phenomenal. And you can tell they're not just good basketball players, but they're good kids. And so, we want to pour into good kids because everybody know what it's like to be off Rockford Lane. It ain't the easiest. So,
definitely that, brother. I said definitely that, brother.
Definitely that, man. So anyway, we want to definitely get with those brothers and just support them or whatever. Okay. Any other comment? Derrick, you the man. I mean, I knew this was
enjoyed it, man. Enjoyed it as usual, man.
Yeah. We had some hard discussions here, but they're good ones. And I think they help a lot of people and they walk away with some different perspectives. And that's all our goal is every time we open up this broadcast is just to give you something to think about. So
that sounds like a book title.
What's
Inside
that?
the mind of a black man.
I mean, Derrick, if you want that, you can take that. That's just you, Tim, one of y'all. That's free. I'll hand that off to you.
I'm just saying.
Feel free to turn that into whatever you feel like
it did look like you had a book cover for the flyer. Right. It looked like it was a book cover. You had Derrick doing the thing, and then inside the mind of a black man.
I mean, it looks good. I ain't gonna hold you, but he took the picture though. Now I just
like I was thinking and everything, huh? So.
Right. See, you got it, Derrick. Mama Noise was like, "Why you got all the people in there?" I said, "Because he's thinking about these black men. He's thinking about."
You know why I couldn't get it? Because it was from the mind of a black man.
Yeah.
Our
minds do work differently, and that's something that men and women our minds do not work the same.
That is very true. Black men got that picture quick. They're like, "Oh yeah, you thinking about black men? I got it." Anyway, guys, thank y'all for pulling up, man. And noisemakers, thank y'all for pulling up. We do it all over again tomorrow. Until then, we out this piece.
We're talking I was able to pick up part of the show. Then we got deep into the mountains and I lost it. So I didn't get to hear the.
To hold otherwise would be to sacrifice a great principle to the mere form of procedure and to render settlements with the government delusive and useless. And for those reasons, the indictment against Mr. Smollett should have been dismissed for violation of the double jeopardy law. And so, again, here we are following a trial, and we should have never been here to begin. Various criminal errors that permeated proceedings and the trial.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this. They supposed to judge Juicy Smouye. Oh, we're still live, baby.
I should have known that was